everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Time to Talk. I'm one of your hosts, Faith, and I'm here with my twin sister, Grace. And today's podcast is going to just be introductions into who we are, and we'll get into more about why we're starting the podcast and all that whole story in our next episode. So today's pretty much just all about us. So to kick things off, I will share a little bit about myself. So I'm the older twin, and I'm also the more left-brain twin, so I tend to be a lot more rational and analytical and process-driven in a lot of ways. What else fun about me?
Those were fun about you? I'm joking.
I am a hardcore bibliophile. I like to dance as a hobby, and I like putting together puzzles, hence the left brain side. That I have a massive puzzle collection. I know other people have larger puzzle collections, but I have a pretty decent one. It's like 50 plus puzzles. And I have a lot of 3D puzzles. And I love warm coffee. And I like not spending time with people. I like alone time.
Lots of it.
Lots of alone time. So Grace, tell us a little bit about you.
So it goes without saying, I'm the younger twin, obviously. And
she's also the nicer twin.
Oh my goodness. Well, yes. Given the fact that I generally enjoy spending time with people more than you do, so that just means I have a little bit more patience and tolerance for people than you do. So yeah, like my straw of like getting mad at someone is a lot longer, generally speaking. So maybe that makes me the nicer twin. But then I guess I would describe myself as the more right-brained twin, or like the artist, creative, host-is kind of person. I love painting, I love watercolor, I love almost every single artistic medium I've ever tried, and spending my time doing that. Similarly to Faith, I also love dancing. She and I are both very interested in videography and digital storytelling, and
obviously podcasting now.
And podcasting now, yes. I love photography as well. All of our trips that we've done as a family, I was either way ahead of everyone on the trails or incredibly far behind because I was taking pictures. So, I have lots of pictures, and I love taking lots of pictures. What else? Love books too, love writing. You and I, we have very similar hobbies. I would just say that how we enjoy them is slightly different.
Yeah.
In this, in the sense of, even when it comes to videos, I think you have a slightly more analytical approach to piecing it all together, where I'm just like, I'm just going to do whatever, and I have an idea of what I want it to look like at the end.
I'm very much the planner type, so I have all of the pieces and this image in my head of what I want things to look like. I'm also a perfectionist, so those things either end up never happening or they do happen and then just chuck them in the trash can because I'm very disappointed.
Yeah. And whereas I think, I will definitely have a plan, and I will have like the largest shot list ever for videos. And for some, I have a very specific idea of what I want it to look like, but I think I am a lot more willing to just be spontaneous and just get a shot because I like a shot. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I guess we'll get into some more fun things. Wow, that was way too many mores.
You're assuming that there's actually fun stuff to tell about ourselves.
Well, I know there's fun stuff to tell about me.
Wow, arrogant.
Well, no. I gave you some grace with saying fun things about both of us.
Yeah.
Okay, they may not be fun, but we have for sure done some crazy things, and
yeah, I mean, we're not the most interesting people. Like, we don't have exciting stories to tell you about how we broke every bone in our body or anything. I haven't even been stung by a bumblebee at all, or a wasp in my entire life.
But
I was stung by a stingray.
I was going to say, I've been stung by like a weird yellow jacket bee type thing, and you've been stung by a stingray.
Which I think beats anybody's old insect stories.
Right? Like, I don't care how you got stung by a bee because you were being stupid.
Right. That's the thing. You getting stung by an insect was probably your own fault, whereas me getting stung by a stingray was totally not my fault. the whole amusing part of the story, because I guess I should tell the story. We were at Myrtle Beach for the first time. We were probably 7 or 8, because this is the one we lived in our previous house, and we moved when we were 8.
Yeah, so we may have even
So
been
it was
younger
probably, I don't think we were any younger than 7.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there for our first time. It was probably our second or third day out on the beach. And this was our first time really being to a full-on beach that we could go into the waves and play in the water. So the 3 of us older girls were out there playing in the waves with Dad, and we were pretty deep. And all of a sudden, I just feel this strand of something come up my leg. And at first, I thought it was just seaweed. But then all of a sudden, my right leg just starts burning massively. And the only thing that makes it not burn is for me to get it out of the water. So I'm jumping up on Dad. I'm trying to hold my leg out. And these massive red welts are starting to form and bubble up all down. And so none of us really know what's going on.
All I know is that face freaking me out because it's like she's gone crazy and is trying to.
Oh, because it hurt. Like, it was a sensation of having salt water put into an open cut, except that these were just welts. But it was that burning sensation that just won't stop. So we don't really know what's happening. All I know is I can't put my leg back in the water. So we like hobble, swim-ish type of thing to the shore to get out. And I don't really know what happened after that. I assume that we tried to put like some sort of ointment or whatever.
I mean, yeah, you were pretty much out of the water for at least the rest of that day.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, we still didn't know what it was until, we kind of just assumed, making guesses, that it might have been a stingray. But then the very next week, Mom was reading to us from our science book, which was biology that year. And we were reading about stingrays and ocean life. And there was this section on stingrays like to burrow into the sand of shallow water. And when you're going swimming, you're supposed to shuffle your feet on the ocean floor so that you're warning the stingray you're there. And we did not do that. So hence we probably startled a stingray while we were just
she did.
swimming and walking. Well, I did, yes. I was the lucky one. So yes, that's my story of getting stung by a stingray because we were not well educated on how to treat ocean life.
Yep.
You don't really have any. I mean, you have a fun story of ripping your knee open on the slide.
Yeah, I have stories of me doing stupid things unintentionally that then I hurt myself.
It wasn't stupid. I mean, okay, here's the thing. We have a lot of situations in which we are running, whether it's outside or inside. And Grace ended up being the one injured because she would rip her toe or her knee open on something somewhere.
I know, I really only have those 2 stories of when I actually hurt myself. That would have required, like the one, it was just gushing blood, and now I will forever have one knee that's like slightly more indented below it than the other one. And then the toe story, like that one would have actually maybe required stitches had it been any deeper.
Right. But your stories are more just like, blood, lots of blood.
I guess, yes. Mine are slightly more painful.
Mine are more like, I got stung by a stingray, or I had this like 12-inch long splinter in my foot, which I know is impossible because my foot's only 9 inches long.
Yeah,
and at that point when I got the splinter, it was probably 6 inches long.
Yeah.
But it was a splinter that went from like my heel to the ball of my foot. Do you not remember this? And then I had to lay on the bench and Dad was like doing surgery to get it out of my foot.
You don't think I remember you crying and screaming?
No, you don't. You don't care about me. There was another story I had in mind too of something else that happened.
You got a lot of splinters when you were little.
I did.
Like, I consistently remember you being the one with splinters. I don't really remember everything.
I just like climbing things, apparently.
Well, we both did, but...
So, anyway, I guess we should probably give a little bit more of factual information for those of you who don't know us in real life. So, we live in the Midwest, specifically in Indiana. There are 4 of us sisters. We have an older sister, then there's the 2 of us twins, and then we have a younger sister, and our parents. And we've pretty much spent our entire lives in Indiana. We grew up on the south side of Indy and then moved to the west side where we are currently. But, I mean, we've taken vacations out west. We've gone down south. We've gone out east just recently this past year. So, I mean, we have a pretty good experience for our country as a whole.
I had counted it up a couple weeks ago because I had this map that I would color in the states that when I had gone to them. And I had counted up how many states we've gone to. And by gone to, I mean we had at least driven into.
Which is debatable whether or not it actually counts, but...
Yes, I mean, I counted Nevada, but we crossed the border. If you cross the border, it counts.
If people count that, they're in a plane and they fly in to that state, and even if they're there 5 minutes to catch their next flight, if they count that as visiting that state, then yes, driving into Nevada for 5 minutes counts.
I've never done that, so I don't know if I would count that. I probably would, because if you're in the state for longer than 5 minutes, which we were.
Yeah.
We were probably in there for a solid 10 to 15 driving. Yeah, we're going to count it. I counted it. Because that's kind of, I mean, that's how Georgia is. Because we've never actually stopped in Georgia.
Really? I feel like we must have for something.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no clue. But anyway, I mean, we didn't stop in Massachusetts either. We just drove right by Boston, so.
Yeah.
I just counted them. And I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was for sure between 35 and 40. So yes, we've seen.
Oh, was that high?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Well, because if you think about it, we've basically seen from Minnesota and South Dakota, we've seen almost the entirety of the Midwest.
It's essentially just the perimeters of the West Coast. And Hawaii and Alaska.
Yeah, so it's like this. We've seen Florida, Georgia, a tiny bit of Alabama, and then you've got the whole, basically, from North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way from Tennessee to Arkansas.
We've been in almost every single East Coast state, have we not?
Well, I think the only ones we missed were Rhode Island and Delaware.
But otherwise, it's pretty much just southern states. Like, we haven't been to Louisiana or Texas or Oklahoma. And we haven't been to the west.
Yep. We haven't been to Louisiana, Mississippi. We haven't been to North Dakota or Montana or Idaho.
Right.
But yeah, then you get, it really is just the perimeter. We haven't been technically into New Mexico, but otherwise.
We've been to the Four Corners. Does that count?
Yeah, but I don't think, you're not actually in the state. That's the point. You're not supposed to be in either of the states. You're supposed to be in all of them at the same time.
Did we not go into New Mexico to go to where the Indian
Reserve
where they were selling their...
I think we maybe were in New Mexico for 5 minutes. So maybe it counts. Maybe.
Or have you counted it, or are we just going to
I don't think I counted it.
Put that in the iffy one.
I don't think I counted it. I don't think I counted it simply because...
What has been, this is probably a hard question, but what is one of your favorite states we visited?
They're all so different. Well, not all of them, but out west is so different.
Give me two, yeah. Well, give me your favorite western state and then your favorite eastern state. Because I would say my favorite western one was Utah, by far. Because the landscape changes every 2 minutes, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
First you feel like you're on Mars, then you feel like you're on Saturn, then you might possibly be on Earth, but then it changes to a completely different planet, and it's beautiful. Plus the fact that because of the difference in landscape, you have all of the different parks that are there.
I know,
and you have all the different canyons. And...
See, I'm kind of torn between saying Arizona or Wyoming, because I love Arizona because of the parks that are there. Because it literally just looks like it's from another planet. And so it's so cool.
Am I thinking the wrong state? Is Arizona the one that has Bryce Canyon?
Yes. Yes.
Look at me and my geography.
Yes. No, Arizona is the one with the...
That has Zion and everything.
You go
okay.
Down
I take
the
back my answer.
That it goes.
I take back my answer. I liked Utah when we were driving through Utah, and the landscape does change.
Yeah, we stopped at that place and had all the gnats.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to change my answer. Arizona is probably my favorite western state.
Now, there's a difference if you're asking to live, because if I were to pick a state that we've gone to
That's not what I'm asking.
No.
I'm saying
but
which was your favorite.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, my favorite probably was Arizona just because it was so beautiful and so wild, and there was so much to do and see. But if we were to talk about where we would live, I would definitely go with something more like Colorado or Wyoming that we've been to, just because I feel like, one, those states happen to be more green, which just harkens back to home and growing up in the Midwest, so they have slightly more of a season. But also, I like Wyoming because it's so big and vast and people have lots of horses, which makes me happy. And then I like Colorado because you've got the mountains.
Yeah, I would definitely say mountains versus canyons. I'm probably more of a canyon type person just because I like heat, and those places tend to have drier heat, whereas mountains tend to get more humid in those areas.
But the honest truth is, regardless of where I would live out there, it would be a significantly shorter trip to go down to Arizona than from
True,
Indiana.
it would just be a massively longer trip to get to a grocery store.
It would be, but that's okay.
So now East Coast side.
East Coast side? Not New York. I mean, Eastern New York is pretty.
Right.
It is pretty. I loved Maine. I loved
Are we
Maine.
separating? Okay, so are we separating East Coast, like Upper East Coast, from Southern East Coast? Because I'm also including North Carolina, South Carolina,
Oh.
Virginia, those places too on East Coast.
Oh, no, I thought we were totally separating.
Okay.
Because when you said West, we both went with...
Well, obviously only the Western states we've been. We haven't gotten to the Western Coast.
Yeah.
The Western Coast is also easy because there's only 3 states that are on the Western Coast. So
True.
it limits your options as to which one is your absolute favorite exactly on the Western Coast.
True. I mean, you could count Alaska. It is technically on the Western Coast.
I know, but we're not going to be there anytime soon.
No. Okay, so are we narrowing it down to New England, or are we saying the entire East Coast?
Sure, do New England and then do Southern and Eastern Coast.
Because, again, they're entirely different, which makes it more difficult. So I'm assuming the divide is... Are we saying the divide's at, like, Pennsylvania,
Virginia.
New York?
The divide is is Washington, D.C.
Okay, so West Virginia and Virginia are East Coast, down.
If we're using Washington, D.C. as the dividing line, West Virginia would fall upper.
Okay.
Virginia would
Just
fall
clarifying.
down. But we haven't been in West Virginia.
Yes, we have.
We drove through it?
Yes, we have.
Well, that's amazing. There's not much to see there. West
I
Virginia.
mean, it was beautiful. It really wasn't a whole lot different than Virginia itself.
Well, that's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm. I just find it funny that it's the only state where they're not north and south. It's West Virginia and Virginia. I mean, it makes sense because it's not actually directly on top of each other because it is more west.
Well, the whole fact that we have states that are north and south and have the same name cracks me up anyway because I just think, why couldn't we just name every single state
Just be original.
a completely unique name? It's just someone ran out of names.
Our names are weird anyway, if you think about it. I think I would still have to stick with Maine.
Is your favorite East Coast?
Yeah. Like, I'm aware it gets cold up there, but it is gorgeous
Yeah,
up
when
there.
we went, because we went to Acadia, the coastline is just absolutely stunning.
It's so beautiful. And I think I could deal with the cold because it is gorgeous.
Why are you always taking us to living there? I would never live in any of these places. I would only visit.
Oh. Well, then I would visit Maine.
Yeah, because then you can go during the time of year that you want.
Yeah, I would visit Maine all the time, probably. Yeah, I think that was my favorite.
Yeah.
Of the ones we've been to.
Well, it's also, so we drove the coastline of New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm. Now that one was
and
gorgeous.
Connecticut, did we?
No, we drove it in New Hampshire.
Okay. See, so, the East Coast shoreline is just beautiful, regardless of which state you're in. Probably changes I know it changes the further down you get, but up there near Maine and Massachusetts in those areas, it's just absolutely pristine. So I wouldn't really care which state it is so much.
Yeah, probably not. It's just we really only drove along the shoreline of New Hampshire, and then it was Maine that we were on the shore. So I'm not really, I would assume Vermont has a similar shoreline, and all the other ones do. I just don't know what is around there.
Right, and then the one that I actually got out to spend time at was Acadia on those beaches, so that's why I would consider that my favorite of all of them.
Yeah. And if we're talking about East Coast South, honestly, I'm not really sure. Because in my mind, I love Virginia, but the only thing I've ever done in Virginia is the triangle, the historic triangle. And so I remember going and driving around those neighborhoods and how gorgeous they were, but I haven't really done a whole lot, and we only went to the coastline like once for Jamestown.
So what about Florida?
I don't like Florida. I just don't. Like, we can roll it out. It's an ugly state. I hate the Spanish moss. I just don't like it. I don't like Florida. So we can rule that out of the equation. I don't believe we've ever been to the coast in Georgia. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of Georgia, so I can't really answer that.
No, pretty
So I
much
think
South
of-
Carolina, Virginia, and North Carolina. We've
Yeah.
been to the beaches. I would say North Carolina's probably my favorite just because you have the mountains on one side
Yeah.
and the beach on the other. And North Carolina still has the islands that I've never been on, but I want to go on to those islands at some point. I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, I'd like to go to those places. Chincoteague? Well, that's one of them.
Chincoteague, right?
One of the islands, I think.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's.
But they're referred to as a group. They're referred to as something.
It's
And I can't remember. But anyway, it's
I
not
know.
important. We were going to go there at one point a couple years ago, and then we
I'm
didn't.
frustrated that I can't remember it. But yeah, I would probably go with that too. It would be North Carolina, and then Virginia would maybe be a second close.
Yeah, North Carolina, too, you know, if we're taking it through terms of living there, North Carolina is a pretty good central location to get up to Virginia and those places, or to go down if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's next? What's
I don't know. I thought we had some fun questions.
fun questions? Well, did we cover the factual information that we needed to? Where we live?
I think so.
I mean,
Yeah. Generally speaking, where we live, how
Really?
old we are, right? We covered that?
No,
we
we actually didn't say how old
We
we are.
didn't. We're 20. Okay, there we go. We're 20.
What's it like being an adult, Grace?
Really hard, Faith. It's really hard.
So what was your favorite age growing up?
Oh.
Mine was 16 for the longest time.
Are you saying favorite age, like, actually that year when you grew up, like the best year of your life?
No.
Are you just saying the favorite age you had,
Like when
that
you were
always
little,
dreamed of?
Yeah, when you were like 6 or 8 or whatever, what was the age that you wanted to be? Mine was 16 for the longest time.
Mine was between 16 and 18. Because I wanted to be 16 just because of the whole Sweet 16 thing, so I thought, hey, this is supposed to be the best year of your life, so I like it because, yeah. Then 18 was because it had it really honestly had nothing to do with any of the legal stuff or whatever you get to do, right? It was just, oh, I'm an official adult now, and then I'll get married.
Huh.
So
Mine were kind of more sad reasons. I don't know if sad's the right word, but I wanted to be 16, 1, because you could drive. 2, because so we grew up playing Barbies and, you know, watching Barbie movies and those types of things. And I always thought that 16 was supposed to be the age that, like, you were the prettiest at any point in your life. And you looked like a Barbie doll. Like, that was, for some reason, that is what I thought, where you were now 16, you were a sophomore in high school, so, like, you were kind of established in that circle. You were, like, the most beautiful that you would ever be in your entire life. You could drive, and it would just be, like, this fantastic bundle of awesomeness. That was kind of my picture of 16. And my 16th year actually ended up to be probably one of the worst years of my life. But
well, this is why I was clarifying if we were talking about a year
But
that we lived that was the best
so
year of your life.
if you had to say what was your best year and your worst year of your life so far, do you actually have an answer
Oh.
for that? Because I don't.
I mean, I think we could all collectively agree that in general, 2020 has not been a great year.
Okay, but that was none of our faults.
No. Worst year of my life?
Worst year of your life that was kind of your problem.
Oh. But then I don't have to say the problem, right? I can just say
No.
the word. Okay. Just making sure. Not get myself into anything I don't want to get myself into.
I think for me, 2015 was probably the worst year. I mean,
So 16 wasn't the worst year of your life?
from about 2014 to 2018, those years were not my high school journey. And it wasn't necessarily because of high school, but those years were not the greatest of my 20 years that I've lived thus far.
I know. But so if you had to narrow, would you still take 2015 as the
I would do
worst
2015, yeah.
year?
It was kind of like a compounding of all of the problems that then continued on for the next several years.
I'm trying to think of a year, though, that literally nothing good happened that I can really
Okay,
remember.
now you're thinking in extremes. I'm thinking in generalities of
No,
2015 was a decent year. It's
I
not
know,
like anybody
I
died or
know,
anything, but
I know.
it's more of a...
Actually, I think, is that when our aunt died? I can't remember. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, well, because the thing is, I'm honestly leaning towards this year. And yet, as I start, we haven't lived the entire year, so I don't feel like I can justifiably say that 2020 has been the worst year ever, because
And you have to stop thinking about the
Has
things
it-
that
has it-
happen
has
in
it
the
been
year.
the first year?
Again, my point was, it's not it has to have been something that was, like, your fault that the year was bad. That's why I picked 2015, because it was mostly on me being a very selfish teenager and hating the people around me.
Honestly, I would have to go within, like, 2016, 2017 then. Because I feel like even though I would collectively say still 2018, 2019, and 2020 haven't been amazing years. Like, let's be honest. I don't really feel like I've had an amazing year past the time I was 12. When I was 12 and younger, life was just beautiful.
See, but the older you get, the more, I think, unless you had a terrible abusive childhood or something.
You just always look fondly back on those times.
It gets rose-colored. In hindsight.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. I know it's not rose-colored, and I know there were plenty of things that happened, but I just, like, in general, thinking about my state of mind back then and just how happy and carefree I was almost all of the time, and just how much you could enjoy life because you could, and you wanted to. I think those were some of the best years, and they always will be, because I think for most people, childhood are some of the best
probably
years.
My favorite childhood year would have been the year that we moved, so 2008. Because I think that's also probably the year we went to the Historic Triangle, correct?
I think so.
I don't remember dates. In my childhood, I don't remember. I remember the year Lane was born. I remember the year we moved. I remember the year that Pam and Bill got married, or aunt and uncle got married, just because of the fact that Lane was 2 or 3. So, actually, 2. I don't really remember.
She was 2.
Okay.
It was 2007.
No, it couldn't have been, because how old is CJ?
Wait.
Because CJ's 2 years younger than Lane, correct?
Yes. Sorry.
So she's 13, which means that they had to have been married
was 07.
the year before.
She's 06.
So Lane was probably 2.
They were 06.
No, Lane was probably 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, wow. I think it went boom. Like, Lane was born in 2005. They got married in 2006.
Because I knew she could walk by then.
2007 is when
so she had to be
was born. Then 2008 is when we moved.
She had to be at least 1, because I knew she could walk.
All I know is Pam gave her pregnancy announcement when we were still in our old house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Timelines, people. Timelines.
Did she ever actually have a baby shower for that?
Yeah. Do you not remember?
No.
It was at that church, and then we had the pink and white checkered tablecloths, and it was mostly older women.
Oh, that's the one where Paige
And I sat next to one. Here's my one defining memory of that moment. I sat next to these very kind elderly women. That was the first time I tried a cherry, and I spit it out in my napkin, and I was really embarrassed.
Wow. That's the one where Paige. It's Jeannie, right?
Yes, she spent the entire time with Jeannie.
And then she got the flowers that we were really jealous that she got.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really remember that one very well, so I don't remember it as a baby shower like I do April's. And
right, because April's was like this big, huge thing, and it was in this really fancy thing, and they had all the food catered, and we had those little glass jars with the blue
M&Ms. It wasn't even like in a fancy thing.
And
it was in a room in a church.
No, it was not a church. Unless, if that was a church, it was a super fancy church. But they had the whole catered food come in.
Well, and I feel like it was a church, but maybe it wasn't a church. It was a massive building. It was a big building, and we were in the building, and then I know, like, I imagine it being the walls that opened into the kitchen. I don't think it was. I think there were doors.
No, they had, like, those partition-type doors that blocked off the room.
So, in other words, they were kind of walls. But yes, that's the one I remember because of the, it was the brown and light blue M&Ms that we got because she was having the boy. And yeah, so that's the one I remember, mostly because I was older.
The other thing with childhood, too, is that's probably the time that I went to the most weddings, baby showers, bridal showers, those types of things when I was younger.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there will obviously be a very defined moment where as a child you're going to those things, and then as an adult you're going to those things.
Because what was the last? Probably Sherry and Jeff's wedding was probably the last one we went to as kids.
No, yes, because the last wedding we've been to was just last year, not our sister's wedding. I'm saying it was Christian and
we went to Christian's wedding last year, but that's when we were adults.
Yeah.
So there was like this massive gap between going as a child.
I think Kelly and Tom would have been the last one we went to.
No, it would have been Sherry and Jeff. Their wedding would have been the last one that we went to as kids, and now we go as adults. And I've been to 3 weddings as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Shelby's. No,
And
Shelby's.
then I've
Jane's.
been to 4 because I went to Jane's.
Shelby. That's right.
So Jane, Shelby, Kristen, Paige.
Yeah. Yep. I didn't go to Jane's.
I like how we use the girls' names.
Well, because I just know the girls. Like
I know. Out of all those,
I know
the
guys
that I knew personally
by the girls.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also Paige is my sister, so like, of course I'm gonna leave it.
Well, and then we had that whole discussion of why is it that you
do
call
some names before others
by their names, and we could never decide beyond it was something about like
it's just the way it sounds.
You would do the shorter name first, or the name that came alphabetically first.
Well, yeah, I don't even think the alphabetical thing makes sense because most of the time, most people's brains don't work in terms of alphabetical.
I think the one that made most sense was that it's whoever you know.
Well, yeah,
best
I was just gonna say
it's
you probably do it by who's closest to you. So
a good test would be ask Timothy's sisters how they say it.
Probably
because if they say Timothy and Paige, then it would kind of prove the theory that it's whoever you've known the longest.
I think you're always going to have trial and error because I think it is those two things. I think one is how it sounds, and then the second would be closest association to like who you're closer with. Because, I will always do Kristen and Craig, which doesn't make sense because it's Paige and Timothy. So, in the sense of...
But it would make sense because you've known Kristen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It makes sense if you do it by association, not if you do it by how it sounds, because one of them is a short syllable and then two syllables, and the first one, like Kristen and Craig, is two syllables short.
If someone could chime in and, like, solve this or
solve
prove our
it,
theory,
please. Yes, we need to figure out why do you...
This falls into one of those many topics that you will have debate on for endless hours and never actually get anywhere because at the end of the day it's not actually important, but you still debate it anyway.
And the only reason we have this conversation is because almost everyone in town calls them Paige and Timothy. And so we were all just wondering why.
I like how you said everyone in town. Like, we know our whole town.
Well, because his family isn't in town. I mean, like, everyone we know in town.
Yeah, all of our friends.
Yes. I don't know if his family calls them Paige and Timothy or Timothy and Paige. I think they do say them Timothy and Paige.
I don't know.
You'd
have to ask Paige that. But back to us, because that's what this podcast is supposed to be.
Why did we get on to names?
Don't ask me.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about weddings because we were talking about childhoods before then.
Okay. Yes, and then I was making the...
So favorite year. We never did answer what was your favorite year. Because I said favorite childhood year. But is there one that you actually remember recently that was your favorite year?
Well, I'm kind of at that point where... It wasn't really a full year. It was just like the trips that we went on and the things we did that I really remember. Like when we went, and this would have been later, when we went to the Clintons in Michigan and we're at Lake Michigan and playing that, and like those were so much fun. You're remember...
still talking childhood here.
No, but that's what I'm saying is you asked childhood if there was a favorite childhood year.
I'm saying past childhood, so past the age of 13.
Oh, favorite year?
I'm kind of like at that point where it was just high school and now college, and I'm kind of just ready to be done with all of that kind of stuff.
I'm ready with growing up. I'm done growing up. Can we just get past the coming of age stories here?
I already am of age. Most of these years, it's not like any of them have been really, really bad beyond what I was saying about 2014, 2018, but they're all kind of just at that point where I was so ready for the year to be done that I haven't really...
problem is, I feel like with all of the growing up years, like there are specific events I can tie to certain years, and I know they happen there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But in general, I would say it would be hard for me to pick a particular year. One, because so many things flowed into each other that I couldn't just say this year alone was worse or better because they all connected in some way. And two, I feel like the instant I got into high school, the weird time phenomenon happened where months go by in like a split second.
Yeah.
Or a day goes by and it feels like an eternity. So it's hard because...
And I would definitely say because of the fact that...
time didn't pass like time did.
Right, and because we go to Apprentice University too, where it's a year-round program, that kind of disrupts your sense of...
I will be honest and say that the past 2 years blend into each other so much.
Yeah, because...
And I forget.
If you're working year-round, even if your classes kind of fall in a semester-ish type schedule, it really knocks off your sense of time.
Yeah.
Because you no longer have those traditional first semester... summer break, that's not how it works. First semester, Christmas break, winter break, whatever. Second semester, summer break, or however, and all the breaks you have in between. You no longer, which, not to say that we really had those growing up because we were homeschooled, so breaks were kind of more, they fluctuated. But I mean, you obviously had summer off.
Well, yeah. I mean, we did have a defined at least 3 sets to our year in terms of there was spring school and then you were done. And whenever you finished, you were done.
Right.
And maybe there were a few things you did during the summer, like when you got older.
But then you had, like, our defining, we always took a vacation or something around the Labor Day weekend type of thing.
Yeah. You had time, like, our grandparents, we would see your grandparents, or we'd go visit aunt and uncles. And, so there were always, there was
definitely more of a routine that happened during
Whereas
those years that it was able to...
I truly do feel as soon as we got into high school, which I will say, there were years in high school that I actually really did love. Most of them were things related to school.
Here's the thing. Okay, so we were homeschooled all the way.
Yes.
And even technically now, you could consider us...
You could just say we're
like self-schooled now, kind of, in a way. Okay, it's not full-on college public school type of environment.
No, I don't... Because I would never say... The first thing that popped in my head was, like, a glorified co-op.
No.
But it's way more than that. Because that's just... I'm thinking, like, the good co-ops we were in, not just the bad ones.
No. The word co-op just gives me jitters. Ugh. All of those experiences. It was, like...
It is a school. It is... I mean, the closest thing you can compare it to would be, like, a glorified master's study.
AU?
Yeah.
No, it's college-level... education. Okay. We're getting off topic, and we're going to push that to the side.
Anyway.
But from K through 12, we were...
homeschooled.
Pre-K, I guess. Through 12. We were homeschooled all the way, and I have zero regrets doing it. I never craved any sort of more public schooling environment. I loved being at home, and... At least the 3 of us older girls, by the time, we were 12, 13... And now the whole world agrees with us. No, I've heard so many comments, this is going to be the only thing I say, and then we'll go back to my topic, which was, I've heard so many comments that people, parents are like, oh, and now we're homeschooling, and the actual homeschoolers are just, that's not homeschooling.
Precisely.
That is not homeschooling. You still don't understand the concept. You can't call that homeschooling. Anyway, and I agree with those people.
Doing school from home is different than homeschooling.
Yes, because there's a difference between helping your kid with homework and actually teaching your kid.
Yes. So,
but back to my topic, which was we were homeschooled, and I don't regret it. I loved it, but for at least the 3 of us older girls, by the time we were 12, 13, we did start getting more involved in, like you said, co-ops and outside classes and online classes. I mean, we were doing high school when we were still in junior high.
Yeah, like we were doing high school when we were in 7th and 8th, and then we were doing college as sophomores, basically college classes. Because it was. We started Belhaven when we were 16, so it was sophomore junior year, which is technically a junior senior program.
Yeah.
So we started a year early, and then our senior year was basically taken up by summer, fall, and spring college classes.
Right.
I mean, as soon as we got into high school, we started Jumpstart, which is technically, again, college level classes.
Right.
When we were 16 too.
And then we took
16,
voice
17.
classes online too, and then I took all of the Liberty courses. Yeah.
So,
because I actually went to
our
college.
high school experience was basically we were high school age, but we weren't doing any work that high schoolers were doing.
And
I
think, what's different is classes. Because of the fact that we were homeschooled, you followed grades to a certain degree, but there was a lot more fluctuation because it was very personal even between the 2 of us and us being twins and us being in the same quote unquote year of school all the time, there was still these fluctuations in that your education was personalized to what you could do. And, our mom, too, was gracious enough that when we got to a certain age that we were basically self-schooling ourselves at that point, she also gave us flexibility in, do you want to do this subject? Do you not want to do this subject as well? So there were things that we did differently.
Kind of when we're talking about the difference between doing school from home versus homeschooling, one of the things that our mom did really, really well was as we did get older and she couldn't teach us so many things, she sought out the best places for us to learn those, right? Our mom, she didn't do Algebra 2. To my knowledge, if she did it, she never completed it. I think she only did through
Or she just forgot all of it because I will be honest and
say
I have.
When did you use it? You don't use it.
I have.
Well, there are still a few things that I love, and then there are some that I remember loving, and I have no idea what they're called or even how to do them probably anymore. I just remember when we were learning them, I was in love with them. I loved Algebra 2.
Do you remember Matrix?
That's what they're
matrices.
called. Yes, the ones
with
with
the
the big brackets.
boxes.
I was talking to Andrew about that, and I could not
can't
remember what they were
how
called.
to do them.
And he
I do
said
not
he
remember
loved
how to
them
do
too,
them.
and it made me
But
really
they
happy.
were, I mean, they were so stinking
Yes.
hard to learn.
But they were,
But
like,
once
when
you
you
knew
learned
how to
them,
do them,
they
it
were
was like,
awesome.
this is actually, I can understand now why people appreciate math, because it was both beautiful in how it was structured and how you had to do it. It was fantastic.
Well, see, that's kind of why I think, for the record, if anyone's thinking there's, like, supposedly the whole geometry algebra divide, where if you like geometry, you hate algebra. If you like algebra, you generally hate
Is that
geometry.
like the biology-chemistry divide?
I think so. Let's be honest, there's always exceptions to these generalizations, but as a fact, I guess, at least from all of the people I've talked to, they're always, at least between algebra and geometry, there seems to be a very clear divide. I don't know how many people ever actually learn.
Well, I will fully admit the fact that I did not like geometry. I liked algebra too. I didn't like biology. I liked chemistry. I actually loved chemistry.
Well, my question then is, did you like human anatomy, or did
Oh,
you...
I loved anatomy and physiology. I got a kick out of that book.
Okay.
It's
Well,
fantastic.
See, this is what I'm asking, and this is why I think there's maybe less of a clear divide as there is. Because, like, whether it's pre-algebra, algebra, or algebra 2, or geometry, and then I don't know if there's advanced geometry, but there seems to be a very clear divide in who likes what, where you don't necessarily... If you like geometry, you probably don't really enjoy any of the algebras. Whereas if you look at something like biology and chemistry, technically human anatomy does fall into the biology camp. So
Right.
you didn't necessarily like the
I wonder,
basic biology
well, here's what
of
I wonder too
animals.
is geometry and biology are similar in the fact that they are sciences of natural forms in a way.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how geometry started. Was
Yeah.
It was a study of the math that applied to the natural
of
world
shapes,
and
yeah.
shapes, right? And organic shapes. Same with biology. It's the study of animals and the animal kingdom, and that
Yeah.
type of those
Yeah.
natural objects, natural life forms.
Well, that's why I'm saying, yeah, I can see where there is you would prefer one over the other because one is more...
Well, what I'm saying is, I wonder if, if you're talking about the divide, is the divide that people who like geometry also like biology? Or can it flip in that you like geometry and you like chemistry? I'm curious. There's probably been zero
I have
studies
no
done on
idea.
this because it's all personal preference.
My guess is when it comes to the sciences, if you like chemistry, you are probably more likely to like physics versus someone who likes biology.
See, but I
liking
hated physics.
I'm not.
That's
Again,
where the divide for me was. Is I did not go from chemistry to liking physics. I went from chemistry to liking anatomy and physiology.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm saying there's always exceptions. I'm just in terms of, because biology has like no math. There's not very much math in that at all. It's definitely, I mean, biology.
It's just memories
biology
on
would
all
be,
these stupid Latin names to everything.
Biology would be so much more like biology if you want to count sociology as an actual science. Like biology is a hard science, but I think it leads you more on that trajectory of the soft sciences per se than
Sociology or biology?
biology.
Biology is not a soft science.
No, I just said it's a hard science, but
Yeah.
I'm saying I think if you really liked that one and then you liked human anatomy, I think it makes sense that the trajectory is more towards liking some more of the softer sciences versus liking what I would kind of say that chemistry and physics are kind of even more hard sciences.
Well, it makes sense that, someone like you who has more of a right brain, you would like the study of living objects better than you would like the study of equations.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I liked, there were pieces of general science, specifically in just general science, physics, and just how the world works and things that fascinate me. But, yeah, to this day, I will fully admit there were definitely sections, specifically sections on light and electricity. I don't understand it. I don't think scientists really understand it a whole lot because nobody understands light really super well. And it's just...
This is why I tell people, science, this is the one thing I appreciated from Apologia. In that the very first science textbook that I read on my own, it was probably the general science one, in the very first chapter, the very first page, they tell you, this is what science is, and this is what science is meant to do. This is what science is not, this is what science is not meant to do. The basic premise being, science can never prove anything. Science is just the study of the world and its processes to form theories about the way that the world and everything works.
And then basically every single theory kind of had its disclaimer of this is what science knows right now.
Right, because, I mean, that's the whole history of science is theories on things that were proven to a point, and then someone else came along and did a different study, and we're like, hey, I got different results. We may need to rethink this.
Yeah. I mean, the honest truth is, if you were probably to look at how many things were actually scientific laws versus theories, my guess is that it was probably 20% of the actual textbook that was probably truly laws, and the rest of it were theories that
I mean, you just have to think about
they were like close to becoming laws if they they weren't completely untested hypotheses. But
I mean, really, beyond the 3 laws of thermodynamics, there were laws as well that, just like in grammar too, you have this law, but then it has certain exceptions, and that's kind of how science was too.
And that's where I think it makes sense to say, and this is why I don't know how math fits into. It would make sense to say if you like algebra, you probably like chemistry and physics more, just because the math is a little more similar to that and how it's structured and how the thought processes work versus geometry. But at the end of the day, it makes a little more sense to say that if you are slightly more right-brained, you probably will enjoy the non-mathy sciences better than
generally
the
right-brained
math
people
sciences.
don't prefer science and math anyway.
Yeah. And obviously there are always exceptions, but generally speaking...
So that was a massive rabbit trail.
This entire podcast has had 5 massive rabbit trails.
Welcome to Time to Talk, the podcast where we go on rabbit trails for 50 minutes.
Precisely. Now, was there anything else they actually needed to know about us?
Well, do you want to do one of our rapid fire quiz things?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to start doing these segments to close out some of these podcasts, just rapid fire type of quizzes with each other, just to have you guys know more about us and just for fun too, because we enjoy these types of things. So this is a this or that preference quiz, and you have to answer with your first instinct. No thinking about why you like one. We can get into that if we want to. Okay, teddy bears or dolls?
Dolls.
My first reaction is dolls too.
Okay.
Because I was never the person. I love stuffed animals, but I was never a snuggler. Like, I never had my special blanket or special stuffed animal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I had a special blanket, which was my hospital blanket, so duh, it's going to be a special blanket. But I never slept with my stuffed animals. So I played with stuffed animals more like dolls. So at the end of the day, it's
dolls were more fun because the fact that
you could dress them.
We had tons of clothes for them. We could do their hair. We would put on salons all the time.
And it was have like a million proms, basically.
Or Hawaii trips.
Yes,
or
mermaid watching.
We would pretend that they were our children and take care of them and stuff and do school with them. Anyway, okay, next one. Mystery or understanding?
Mystery.
Part of me thinks I should say mystery.
No!
The other part of me
gut
is
instinct.
Understanding.
Yes, gut instinct. You're understanding my mystery.
And understanding that there will always be mystery.
Precisely.
Cocky or humble?
Humble.
I don't even know why that's a question. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer someone who's an arrogant, stuck-up prick, or do you prefer someone who is humble?
That was a nice way of saying it, but...
It was a very nice way of saying it.
We'll go with humble.
Humble. Baby powder or baby oil? I don't really know if
neither.
I have a preference.
Why would I want either of them?
I prefer baby oil because I actually am using a baby oil product for my face.
Well, I was just going to say, like, baby powder, the only thing I can see it being useful for as an adult is
your hair, as dry shampoo.
Well, yeah, you can use it. I think you can use it as dry shampoo, but also you're supposed to, like, it takes the smell away from your shoes if you sprinkle it in your shoes. I just don't
like powdery objects in general.
But yes, I don't either. I don't like it.
And chalky sensation, and I don't like chalk.
So if I'm going to pick one that I would actually use, it would be baby oil.
Caribbean cruise or Arctic cruise? Caribbean, all the way. Sunshine, beaches, heat.
I would probably go with Caribbean then.
I mean, here's the thing. You see, like, orcas and seals and the Arctic
I would go with
creatures
Caribbean
as
a cruise that I would probably do more than once.
That's even assuming that you're even going to go on one cruise.
That would be. This would be assuming I'm actually going on a cruise,
which I don't plan.
I don't plan on doing it either. But I mean, like, I would love to go see the Arctic. That would be really cool.
Right.
And I think one of the only ways you can kind of see
it
is on a cruise or a plane
of some sort. Yeah. But I would prefer a Caribbean. Yeah. Cuddling or holding hands?
I kind of think they're both the same thing.
Which one do you prefer?
Cuddling, I think.
Okay, mine's holding hands. I am not a PDA type of person, and I kind of don't like physical touch in general.
Clarification.
So.
Cuddling is something you do at home. Holding hands is something you could do in public.
It's not true.
For me, like, I'm not... This is what I'm saying.
I think it counts as cuddling if you and your significant other are just, like, on top of each other. That was a weird way of phrasing it. But, like, if you're sitting on a couch together and you're, like, leaning against each other, that, in my mind,
cuddling.
Constitutes as cuddling.
Like, that much physical touch. Yes, but also, again, cuddling. That's why I would say that's not exactly...
But you do that out in public.
Okay, I mean, I guess I wouldn't consider close friends super public. We'll leave it. I'll just say cuddling. I'll just say cuddling.
Yeah, your preference is definitely cuddling.
Oh my gosh.
Mostly, yeah, it's because you are much more of a physical touch type person. Not that that's, like, your top love language, but you are very much more of a physical
I like being
person than I am.
With people. And part
mine
of that is connecting. Yeah. Part of the connecting with people is
mine is I get people asking if it's okay to touch me. Very much holding hands.
Yes, I hold hands. I will hug you. I will...
Okay. Dentist visit or doctor visit?
Dentist.
I like dentist mostly because you don't have to talk. Like, they know what they're doing, and they just take care of your teeth, and you don't have to answer all of these stupid questions on your family history.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know what my grandma had.
I would prefer a dentist visit. 1, because you know exactly what needs to be done every single time you go. 2, you don't have to talk. And 3, most of the time, your teeth feel relatively okay coming out.
Oh, yes. I love the feeling of the teeth.
You just have to pick the right toothpaste.
Or when they do that foaming stuff.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
You just have
none of those taste
you have to pick the right taste.
But the doctor, you just always have to fill out, even like eye doctor or anything, which I've been to way too much. But you always,
see, if we're talking about eye doctor,
you always have to fill out paperwork.
I honestly would prefer an eye doctor visit over a dentist one. Honestly,
well, like an eye exam.
Yeah,
not any of the eye doctor ones I've been to.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying.
Like, an eye exam normal, is easy peasy.
Yeah, an eye exam.
But an actual visit because you have issues,
that's not fun.
Because then
I just mean like a
then
routine
you have to tell them,
kind of thing.
Here's what's going on, here's what it feels like, and you have to fill out all the paperwork, which I never understand, and I always have to ask Mom, what goes here? And then you have to remember your medications, which I never stick and do.
Because I recently had a, like, routine eye exam, and she asked me, she said... It was the whole, like, has anyone new in your family been diagnosed with, like, cataracts or glaucoma or heart disease or any of the other things?
And you're like, no, question mark?
And I'm like, the day that I have to answer whether there's been a recent death because of something like that in my family or someone else has gotten diagnosed, I am probably going to do it, like, 3 months after that actually happened.
There needs to be a system of family notices that, hey, your great uncle just died. By the way, everyone, here's what he died from, just in case it has to go on a family medical history.
I know. And I'm just like...
Here's your information.
I don't know. I know I've had many relatives die. I just don't know if all of them died.
There needs to be the family tree kept with the medical records for everyone's personal sanity.
There needs to just be like an automatic group message that goes out. Like it's a BCC kind of message where only you get it. And it's like so-and-so died or so-and-so just got diagnosed with blah, blah, blah. And please
really
put on medical records.
And sad
instantly.
That you would do that, but also it would be so helpful.
It would be though, because I mean, when you think about it, and since families nowadays are generally speaking so far spread out, it's hard to keep track of who has what and blah 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 and remember all of those things versus when it used to be where your family lived relatively close.
Here's my problem is when I fill out those paperwork, I also think here's the issue: if I fill it out differently than last time I filled it out. And this, I'm speaking specifically in facts that wouldn't change, like your family medical history. But if I fill it out differently, are they going to compare it? And then, like, am I going to get questioned on the fact that I filled it out differently this time? Or which do they keep? And do they ever fact check any of this stuff?
That's what I'm saying. I have no idea. And I don't think they can, because most medical records are pretty confidential,
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I'm just concerned that, I'm 25 and I get my own doctor or something, and I start filling out paperwork, and I miss half of this information that was supposed to be on there. And then I'm just concerned, like, oh, what's going to happen? Because I don't know, like, I understand your family medical history.
This is probably something that only women are slightly more concerned with than guys are.
Not that I have a regular physician's checkup anyway.
No. Well, but I'm just thinking of, like, when you get pregnant, you have a lot more regular doctors.
Well, that's the thing is, on one hand, I'm only concerned about my personal history, but when it comes to things like being pregnant and those types of things, and
I'm like,
being concerned about what you're passing on to your child, like, then that's when you want to know.
What else do I need to be super concerned about just in terms of my own health and then my child's health? I don't know.
Okay, back to, table games are video games.
Table games.
Table games. I hate video games. The only one I ever liked was Mario Kart because we had the Wii, but like the old
Okay, if
Wii.
those count, then yeah.
But Mario Kart. But I prefer table games.
Yes.
Cotton candy or funnel cake.
If I have to have one of them, funnel cakes, but neither.
I get sick on both of them. Yeah. They're disgusting.
Funnel cakes are better though.
Volleyball or Frisbee?
Volleyball.
I can't throw a Frisbee for the life
I can
of
throw
me.
Frisbee, but I so much prefer volleyball.
Here's the thing. I know the technique of throwing one. I just can't aim it.
Oh.
So Frisbee is just not fun for me. Volleyball is also not super fun depending on who you're playing with because if they're good at it, I'm really bad. And if they're taller, I'm much shorter.
I
so
just love volleyball. So we're going with volleyball.
Bottle or can?
Bottle. That's a weird question.
Right, because I don't actually drink things
I
from
drink
cans
bottled
or
water.
bottles, but I would do a bottle just because I don't like cans.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, Mom's vacuuming now. If you can hear that in the background, we'll see. It's Mother vacuuming.
All right, we're going to finish it up pretty quickly then.
Gift wrap or gift bag?
Bag. Because you can reuse.
Because you can save it and reuse. Yep. Dice or dominoes?
Dominoes.
I think I like dice better. I like dominoes, but I like dice as well. I like dice games better than domino games.
I don't know.
Fix it yourself or pay someone to fix it.
Fix it yourself.
It depends on what it is.
It really does depend on what it is.
I
but
would try to fix it
speaking,
myself.
I will try and fix. Yeah.
Mostly because I don't like.
Like if I know I can't fix it, or my husband couldn't fix it,
then
or anybody in my family could not
Daddy.
fix it. I was just gonna say, if nobody in my family could fix it, then I would pay for it.
Right.
Or I just needed someone to fix it right then. Pay for it. But
drive or fly?
Depends on where I'm going. I generally like driving.
I would fly. Because I plan to also travel by myself, and if that's the case, then flying. Get there faster. And also it's cheaper.
See, and this is what I'm saying. I will drive places.
Like road tripping, that would be fun.
No.
Driving by myself from like Indiana to California, no way.
And this is what I was saying is flying is in my mind, flying is strictly a travel thing. Like I know some people, not personally, but I know of people who fly to work because they live that far away.
Oh yeah.
But that is something I don't understand that. I don't know why you would do that. So in my
probably
mind,
because your company reimburses
so
you.
my mind is flying is strictly travel, and when you're traveling, there's like a certain distance where I don't want to drive.
So you're saying like vacation is supposed to be driving unless you're going an extremely long distance.
Yeah, I mean it also depends. Like
No way.
if you're pulling a trailer in camping, you're driving.
Well, duh.
But a road trip for me, I don't, and that would be like a long road trip if you're camping. But in terms of just driving in a vehicle as a road trip, I probably wouldn't want to go more than 5 or 6 hours.
Like if you're traveling around your own country, we've done our
really
vacations where it's you are intentionally driving, so you're visiting things along the way.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
I would
in my
drive
mind, a road trip where you're driving involves a lot more stops, so you're never really driving more.
Like
than
the time that
maybe 8
I
hours at a
flew
time.
from here to Washington D.C. for the scholarship event.
I mean,
then I would fly.
Yeah, you would fly because 1, you're going by yourself. 2,
that's what I meant.
Don't have a whole lot of time to drive, right?
That's what I meant in that. The older I get, the more I'm just going to be traveling on my own, and since that's the case, I would probably prefer flying over. Driving.
So and that's what I'm saying. On a day-to-day basis, totally driving. On a trip level, there are specific times you want to drive, and there are other times where I'm just like, no, you want to fly. Like if I'm going to Europe, I'm totally flying, and then when I get there, I will either be taking trains or I'll be flying.
Fun trying to drive across the Atlantic, Grace. Right? I don't think you have an option.
Where's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang when you need her?
Oh my gosh. Okay, sarcasm or seriousness? I appreciate good sarcasm.
I like sarcasm. I'm not very good at being sarcastic most of the time.
Yeah, I appreciate sarcasm. I can do sarcasm.
But I think I like sarcasm better. Yeah. Just I like people having a dry humor. I appreciate it.
I already know the answer to the next one, but take a shower or take a bath?
Shower.
I can't remember the last time I took a bath.
Nope.
Zoos or aquariums?
Oh. I think I like aquariums better.
Yeah. Aquariums are just prettier. Aesthetically speaking, they're prettier. Yes. They're also cooler because they're inside.
And I also think, sea creatures just fascinate me.
Yeah.
More so than...
And typically, here's the thing. Sea creatures tend to move around a lot more, so they're a little bit more interesting to look at than the lion who just sits on the rock sunning himself all the time and does nothing.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, zoos are pretty cool, but
I like the aquarium.
I like aquariums much better.
Also, because do the seal tricks or dolphin tricks, do they count as an aquarium aspect?
Yeah.
Okay, and those were my favorite part of the zoos.
Yeah. I like the penguins.
Or the puffins. Like the one time we went to the aquarium. Paige thought puffins were penguins the other day. I kind of laughed at her a little bit.
They're closely related.
But they're not the same.
I mean, that's like orca whales are technically in the dolphin family.
Sorry, Paige. I just told on you.
Oh my gosh.
Puffins are not penguins.
There will be plenty of times. I mean,
do you know in Iceland they eat
dolphins,
puffins?
So. They eat dogs in China. I mean,
just like they eat kangaroos in Australia.
Yeah, like
we think it's like this great sin, and people are probably like, "You eat buffalo here? That's terrible."
Oh my
or
gosh.
bison, if you really want to be correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
next one: public libraries or public parks?
Both.
No, you have to pick one.
I know.
You have to pick one.
All right, then we're gonna go with public parks because I'll have a private library.
What?
If I have to choose, I'm gonna go with public parks. Because I will have a private library.
Oh, I thought you said you'll have a public library, and I'm thinking that doesn't make sense.
No, I will have a private library.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm thinking downtown in Indy, I would prefer the public library, the central library, over a public park.
Yes.
It would depend on where you're living. Like here in Plainfield, I don't go to the library very often, so I would prefer a public park like Hummel over public library.
Well, see, yeah. The next game we need to play next time is it's basically kill or save. So it's like this or that, except there's more consequences. So in this case, I'm thinking like you only
hence the name of the game.
Precisely.
Kill or save.
Precisely. So if you do
murder it.
So if you do public library
like
or public parks, if you pick one of them, you save it, you kill the other one. So I guess I was kind of thinking in terms
of it's a full-on mafia, this or that.
Precisely. So I kind of was approaching it like that, where if I pick one of them, the other one I don't get to access. So I would pick a public park just because I would much rather. I love public libraries, but I would love to have, kind of especially because we're in the Midwest, I would love to have a public park that I can go to, and it's really nice and there are things to do, because I will have a private library.
Right. Okay, next one. Cardio or weight training?
Weight training.
Weight training?
Yeah.
Books or movies?
Books.
Tennis shoes or flip-flops?
Tennis shoes.
Flip-flops, because I can take them off and go barefoot. I never wear shoes.
Okay.
Carpet or tile?
Tile. Wait.
Carpet.
I like hardwood floor better. But
well, that's not an option.
I know. Neither.
No, you
get
have
rid
to
of,
pick
get
one.
rid of them both.
If I had to pick one, I would do carpet because it's easier to clean.
Tile's easier to clean.
Nuh-uh.
Okay,
depends on what kind of tile.
I was gonna say
linoleum, fake tile kind of looking stuff. That's easy to clean.
I
was
not talking about the tile that are like in bathrooms, like showers.
I'm pink tile like Pam and Bill's tile floor.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's actually fairly easy to clean.
I would prefer carpet. Tile gets cold.
Yeah, but it's easy to clean and it doesn't stain.
Carpet's easy to clean with a vacuum cleaner.
But it stains.
Well, just don't stain in it.
Yeah, I know. But I'm going tile.
Flowers or candy?
Flowers.
Staples or paper clips?
Staples.
Paper clips.
No, it really depends. I would go.
You're not good at this game. Come on.
Oh, it's fine. I'll stick with staples.
Okay. Indoor arena or outdoor stadium? I'm gonna have to do outdoor stadium mostly because I just like being outdoors.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna go to a sporting event, I think I prefer ones that are outdoor.
If I'm going to a concert, I would prefer the indoor arena.
Well, yes.
Or like a theater production or something like that. If I'm going to a sporting event, outdoors, yes.
Yeah. Like indoor arena, the only sport that I can actually think of that I would actually go to see would be a swimming match.
Yeah.
And even then, just imagining the chlorine, it's gross. Yeah. Anyway, high heels or flats?
Heels.
This one I kind of have gone back and forth on. I like flats because you could do more things in flats, but I don't actually own a pair of flats currently.
Heels.
So I'm going to go with heels. Because if I'm going to wear a dressy shoe at all, it's probably going to be heels.
Heels.
So heels. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the last question on our This and That, which means we have reached the end of our episode. Thank you for listening. Please do subscribe to the podcast if you're enjoying what you hear. Leave us a review and go follow us on Instagram. We are at Time to Talk on Instagram, so go follow us there, chime in on the conversation, leave us comments, leave us reviews, and all of that really good stuff. And until next time, cue the cool music.